Hey guys, Jeff here from Films at Home. I've got another 4K review to do for you today. This was sent to me by Warner Brothers for review. I'm going to be completely impartial, but this was a review copy from Warner Brothers. I need to let everybody know that. But what I have here is Batman Gotham by Gaslight, the new DC animated universe movie in 4K. Really cool that DC's putting the animated stuff out in 4K now. And this is a very different take on Batman. So this is Batman in Gotham City, but at the turn of the century. So we're talking back in the 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s, kind of in that really industrial revolution time period. It's kind of a steampunk feel to it. And so it's really cool because it's something they haven't explored before really at all, is moving Batman around into different generations and time periods. And so I'm excited to really check this one out. It goes down during the World's Fair in Gotham. Selina Kyle's in it, Catwoman. And basically, Batman and James Gordon, the commissioner, they're basically trying to track down Jack the Ripper. So essentially what this movie becomes is Batman versus Jack the Ripper, one of the most famous serial killers, undiscovered crime. They never solved that one. So this is a really cool take. It's like Batman taking down this real life villain, but it takes place 120 years ago. So really, really cool concept. I'm excited to check this out, see how the 4K looks, and then basically just let you know how this movie is, if it's worth a pickup for you on day one. But without further ado, let's play that intro and let's jump into this review. Alright guys, so I just checked this out. This was one of the most fun I've had watching a Batman movie in like a long time. And when we're talking about how Suicide Squad was just Batman vs Superman was like, I thought it was okay, I like Batman, but it wasn't great. It was nothing like The Dark Knight. And so I kind of been turning to these animated movies for a little bit more Batman, especially since I grew up on Batman the Animated Series anyway, so I'm kind of a sucker for the animated stuff. This was really good. This was really fun. A really cool take on this. It actually turns out Bruce Wayne is running the World's Fair in Gotham. So he's obviously still the big billionaire businessman. We're just talking about, early 1900s here. He's running the World's Fair, but down in the alleys, Jack the Ripper is preying on the city's women, which is kind of where Catwoman, Selina Kyle, she comes into play a little bit. I don't want to give too much away, but like there's a ton of really, really cool scenes in this. I would have loved to see this actually made as like a live action movie. It's such a cool concept. I'm glad we get the animated version, but imagine just like kind of switching up Batman's story a little bit and moving him back into different time periods and playing with that playing with the character in that way like this movie did. It is really cool. And to have him face off against a real life villain, he's against the Joker, or it's Bane, or it's the Riddler, or the Penguin. Like it's always one of his bad guys. In this movie, he gets to face off against somebody who's real. Like imagine, okay, Batman fights, I don't know, terrorism and like chases down some guys in the Middle East. I guess they kind of almost did that in Batman vs Superman, but like giving it a more realistic feel. He's not just fighting the Joker, which I really like. Now, don't get me wrong, the villains in Batman are excellent, but this was a really cool take on just having him kind of track down this real life character, this real life killer, and having him battle it out with this guy and basically creating a supervillain from this mythical, serial killer who was never caught, which is what makes this a very interesting one. This is an unsolved mystery, so it's cool that they put their spin on it with Batman, and it really dives into that Batman as a detective feel. Batman was in the detective comics, I think they were called. So, he wasn't always just like flying around in the Batmobile and stuff. He was more of a detective. He was more of, hey, I gotta try to solve these crimes. And so this harkens back to that a little bit, which is really, really cool. So as for the 4K video, the HDR is really nice. It's a darker movie, and so the blacks and the grays really pop. There's a lot of stuff done in dark alleys, and obviously every Batman movie is a little bit dark. Got a lot of stuff happens at night. So HDR is really great. Animation's only gonna be done in 2K, animation like this. So, the conversion to 4K for the resolution not a huge difference, not really a big selling point, but it is a little bit clearer. And I've watched a couple Disney movies in 4K and other animated things like Minions and Sing and stuff by Illumination Entertainment, the same company who does Despicable Me, and the animation just really pops with the HDR. It's the color and it's just the really realistic feel that it gives it is what's so important about getting kind of 4K animated movies. You're not going to get the resolution because think about a Pixar movie that's on Blu-ray. I mean, they already look incredible. Like, how much better could they get from a resolution standpoint? But when you watch something again in 4K with the HDR, stuff just pops out of the screen at you. And so any you know, effects with like fire or anything like that that really jumps really pops with HDR. And so this was a great 4K release. I definitely recommend, if you're going back and forth and you know you want to buy the movie, you know, splurge for the 4K. It's definitely worth it. So in terms of audio, this just has a DTS-HD 5.1, so there's no Dolby Atmos, there's no height effects. You know, I've got 7 speakers, so and you know, it doesn't really use the height speakers that I have for the Atmos stuff. It's just a basic 5.1. But again, it's not like this live action movie, and so there aren't so much, like, there isn't so much to the sound design and the real scope of things. You get a feel for the surround sound, but you know, it's animated, so it's a little flatter than a live action, so I didn't really notice the difference when it came to audio. One cool thing you should know about this release though, and I should have mentioned this at the beginning, this is actually rated R. So this is another one, just like The Killing Joke, which was rated R and was an animated Batman movie. This is another R-rated animated Batman movie, because there's some really violent stuff in here, some really like mature themes when it comes to Jack the Ripper, serial killers kind of preying on women and prostitutes. Like, that whole thing is kind of a more mature theme than, you know, chasing down the Riddler and he's, you know, telling jokes and messing with your head. Like, it's a lot more serious than a lot of the villains. You know, the Penguin's not shooting his umbrella at you or whatever, or, you know, it's just is a lot more serious. Mr. Freeze isn't taking out his gun and freezing you, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger's going, "Get to the chopper." Like, it's a lot better than that. So you know, it's a more realistic, very mature theme, and so they did actually rate this one R. The Killing Joke, I remember I was really hyped up about, because it was going to be like the first R-rated Batman movie really ever. There hadn't been an R-rated Batman movie even in live action, and so everyone got really hyped up, and I was kind of let down by it. It wasn't bad, but I was just so hyped that I thought I'd get a lot more. And so this one, I actually didn't even know it was rated R going into it. I thought it was another kind of PG-13, kind of like most of the DC animated stuff. And I popped this in and I was like, wow, like, this is a really serious movie. This is a serious Batman movie, and this is the kind of thing we need in the live action. Like, we need an R-rated Batman movie. We need a really messed up Joker who's just like an insane person. Like, Heath Ledger's was so good, but there was more they could have done with him, and maybe they were planning on it in Dark Knight Rises if he hadn't unfortunately passed away. But like, that character can be so screwed up if you really let him run with it. And you know, Batman deals with some pretty mature themes in a lot of his stories, and we never kind of, it's always the PG-13 version because we want to get the audience and make the dollars at the box office. But I appreciate what they're doing with the animated movies and kind of going out on a limb, getting that R rating, doing some really serious work. And it's funny that, you know, DC feels more comfortable putting out an animated cartoon, basically, that, you know, would probably appeal more to kids, and they rate this one R, but like, oh no, Justice League can't be rated R because kids want to watch it. It's like, well, what are we doing here? DC, Batman is an R-rated movie's like dream. Like, think about how good Logan was and how good Deadpool was. Like, an R-rated Batman movie with the proper amount of violence that this guy, I mean, he blows stuff up, he punches people in the face. Like, let's get into it. Let's make it realistic. Let's not dial it down. And Batman could be so much better. And this movie just really got me excited for possibly what they could do in the future with the character, because they did such a great job here. And the R rating, you know, I'm not looking at it like, oh my God, it's rated R. I won't watch it unless it's PG-13 or, you know, I only watch this because they can swear because it's rated R. I'm not about that, but it's just the things you can do without having to stick to that PG-13 rating are just, they're so much grittier and more realistic, and that's what I picture when I see Batman. Batman is very gritty. Batman is down in the kind of underbelly of Gotham City. He's fighting the worst of the worst people. You know, we can't make it sunshine and rainbows and make it PG-13 and really, because when you have a PG-13 movie that's too gritty, you end up with Batman vs. Superman and people are like laughing at it because, oh my God, it looks so gritty, but nothing's happening and nothing's really that serious. And so I'd love to see somebody do that, but this film, I definitely recommend it. It's a very, very cool concept, a great release from DC and their animation team. The 4K is great, audio's, you know, very good, above average, and the storyline's just excellent. So I definitely recommend grabbing this in 4K when it comes out. It should be a day one purchase if you're a DC or comic book or Batman fan. This is a no-brainer. I had a ton of fun with this one, really enjoyed it, and so definitely day one for me. If I didn't already get a copy from Warner Brothers, this would be in my collection for sure. All right, guys, that's it for Gotham by Gaslight. I'm sorry about the little rant in the middle there, but Batman is my favorite of all the comic book characters by far. I love him more than anything Marvel's done, anything that DC's done with any other characters. Batman is my guy, and so I get kind of passionate about it and crazy, but hopefully it didn't turn too many of you off, but I have strong opinions about there being a really great Batman movie, and the last one that I saw that I said this is what it's supposed to be was The Dark Knight, and then The Dark Knight Rises was close. If they could have taken it a few steps further and maybe gone for that R rating and really gone dark with it, I think that movie would have been better. And I think Batman just deserves the Logan treatment, deserves the Deadpool treatment, deserves a studio to take a chance and make an R-rated Batman movie that really just appeals to the adult audience that grew up on this guy. So, with that being said, again, thank you for watching this review. I really appreciate it. We've been blowing up here. This channel's been going crazy. We're almost up over 800 subscribers now. I'd really love to get to 1,000, so definitely remember to subscribe. I'm going to leave some links here at the end for you to click on. Go check out my other videos. Got a ton of 4K reviews, collection updates. I've done stuff like covered my entire Criterion collection, Screen Factory collection. You know, this collection behind me is insane, so I'm trying to cover as much of it in video as I can for you guys to show it off and kind of, you know, teach you what I know about movies and give you recommendations that I know a lot of you are looking for. So definitely subscribe. There's going to be stuff coming all the time now that I have this new setup and I'm ready to go. And definitely give me a like on this video. If you're going to buy this, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. And if you think it's a day one purchase, maybe you've already seen it. I think it's out on digital already. So let me know if you've already seen it. If not, do you agree with me that there should be an R-rated Batman movie? I'd love to hear your opinions. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe what they're doing is right and I'm just a crazy fan who doesn't know what he's talking about. So let me know what you think. And then remember to share this video. Share this video with your friends. Share it on social media. You know, tweet it out there and tag me. Post it on Instagram and tag me. I'll get back to you. I'm going to leave links to my Twitter and my Instagram below. Definitely follow me on there. We got a huge following on both of them. I'm always going back and forth with collectors, giving recommendations. Just the other day, a guy who watches my videos named Heath, he reached out to me on Twitter, said, hey, I got a 4K Blu-ray player. Do you have any recommendations? I gave him recommendations for 4K Blu-rays to get started with, gave him surround sound recommendations. I'm more than happy to help people. If you contact me on Instagram, on Twitter, wherever you can get at me, definitely just send me a message and I'll get back to you. I love helping people out that are passionate about this stuff, want to set up their own home theaters or, you know, have questions. So definitely reach out to me, even if it's just to say what's up. You know, we'll start talking, get a conversation going. But until next time, guys, thanks for watching again. Jeff here, signing off.